Hey writers, today is day 2 of my 5-step series on nada to novel, going from 0 words on the page to a finished draft. Today we're talking about outlining your novel. I know there's a ton of you out there, myself included, who get excited about a new project and would love to just jump right in and get started writing. But I implore you not to do this. Laying the framework before you start writing will save you so much time and energy. I have so many writers come to me who have written 20, 30, 40,000 words in the wrong direction, and we have to break all that down and discard a lot of it, unfortunately. So spend a little bit of time with me today, actually following through, pausing the video as you need to, and doing these steps. And I promise you, in about 15 minutes, we'll be out of here and you'll be writing forward. So first off, we're going to talk about the theme and the character arc of your story. These two really are interwoven and should go hand in hand to make a strong story for your reader to remember for a long time after they put the book down. Next, we're going to look at the character profiles and how they interact with one another to, again, make some 3D character, someone that jumps off the page that your reader just loves and really brings it to life for your reader. Finally, we're going to build the framework. We're going to talk about plot and what I call tent poles to build your story structure on so that you know where you're going when you start writing. That is invaluable to a writer. So first off, let's talk about story theme or the core message. So the theme of your story is really just, what do you want to communicate to your reader? What do you want your reader to know when they walk away from this book or to have reinforced as a belief system that they already held? So this is your touchstone. As a writer, the way that you use the theme of your story is when you're looking at a scene saying, does this scene really fit? Does it really need to be there? You're going to look back at your theme and see if it goes along with your theme. When you're asking, is this scene really doing all that it could do? Again, you're going to look at theme and say, does it align with my theme or not? Could it be tweaked a little bit to be a little bit more clear? Now, most themes, when you first start out, sound a little bit cliche. They might be something like love conquers all, or the good guy always wins in the end. That's totally fine. We're going to hone it down to something more specific to you and your story, but that will totally get you started. A theme as cliche and simple as that one. Next, we're going to assemble our cast of characters. So we're going to do character bio sheets. Now, I know I can feel you guys out there rolling your eyes at me saying do character bio sheets just because you have heard this advice so often. But at least 50% of my writers come to me, and what have they not done? They've not done their character bio sheets, and they don't know their characters well enough yet. That's where a lot of their struggles are coming from. So I'm telling you, character bio sheets are really going to pave the way and make it easier for you to write forward. When you know how your character is going to act in just about every situation, it doesn't mean you have to write it that way. We like to be surprised as readers. We like to have things flipped on their head. But if you know how they're going to react, it makes it that much easier to flip it. And we definitely want to define ahead of time how our character is going to arc over the course of the story. If a story is all about change, and it is, then we want to know how that main character is going to change over the course of the story and how that's going to go interwoven with the theme to make a really tight, cohesive story, again, that your reader can really love. So your character's arc of change, let's take something really simple as an example. If it is love conquers all, for instance, then how would you show that in a character's arc of change? You might have a character who begins the story believing that they're unlovable, and or they might have a lot of family responsibilities that pull on their time. They might have a very demanding job, and they believe in the beginning that they just can't or shouldn't be finding love at this point in their life. But then in steps the love interest, and all of a sudden everything changes, right? So the character is going to change over the course of the novel to believe that, hey, maybe I am lovable. Hey, maybe I do have time for love if I make it a priority, okay? Again, this is a super simple change, but I just want to illustrate for you how that theme and that character arc go hand in hand. Next, we're going to construct a framework, and I want you to pause the video at this point and actually write out what's your inciting incident, what's your midpoint, and what's your resolution. And if you don't have those figured out yet, trying to write them down and not being able to is really going to spell that out for you. Let's talk about them a little bit if you're a little confused before you pause the video. Your inciting incident is what's the big thing that happens at the beginning of the story that sets the whole story into motion. Often writers tell me they have more than one inciting incident, and this is not the case. It feels like you have more than one inciting incident, but if you back up to that very first of all those inciting incidents, that's almost always your inciting incident, okay? Because as I mentioned, this one big thing that happened is going to make all the other things happen. So you thinking you have more than one inciting incident is exactly how it should feel. There are dominoes that each knock the other over. Now, your midpoint, your turning point in the story, again, we're wanting to surprise our readers. So we want something big to happen, right? We want something, it's almost like a second inciting incident. It's going to turn the story in a whole new direction that your reader wasn't expecting. And then we want a resolution that's going to wrap everything up. Now, everything doesn't have to be wrapped up in a nice, neat little bow. I'm not a writer who loves that either, but we do have to be okay for now. In the romance world, we call it, if not happily ever after, at least happy for now, okay? So we're going to have to make it so that your reader can close that book and walk away and go on with their day resolved and excited to buy your next book, right? So I've explained this a few times in my other videos. I'm going to go through it briefly here though, because it's super important to the whole reason that we outline and how we outline. I can totally get why a lot of writers don't like to spend time outlining because you never go back and use that outline and it feels like wasted time and energy. But this is a super simple outline that you can write in minutes and get started writing right away. So what I want you to do is I want you to identify the 7 major plot points of your story. And if you're a little bit stuck on this, hang with me. I'm going to walk you through an actual example of a very popular romantasy novel out right now so I can spell it out for you. But basically, I want you to identify the major points that hold up your story. If you were to envision your story as a giant circus tent, if it doesn't have these 7 to 9 major plot points, it would collapse. The weight of it would bury you under that huge amorphous object, right? And I love this metaphor. And if I'm stealing it from you, I apologize. I don't know if I made this metaphor up or if I got it from somebody. Email me and I'll give you the credit because this is a great metaphor for the way that our story can make us feel trapped sometimes, right? And how we don't know how to get out from under it and we don't know how to move forward. So on to Rebecca Yarros's Fourth Wing. I'm going to walk you through how discovering just a few things about your story and laying those things out can really help you to write forward with your story. So the theme of Rebecca Yarros's Fourth Wing novel is the main character has a confidence crisis, right? She's not confident in her own abilities when we start the story. The main characters are Violet Sorrengail and Xaden Riorson. And as her arc, she begins as a shy and fragile scribe and then transforms into one of the fiercest dragon riders at the college. And I should have said it before, I didn't. Spoiler alert, if you have not read Fourth Wing yet, I'm going to be spoiling some things for you here in the next few minutes. So turn this video off, go read Fourth Wing, and come back. Next, we have those 3 major plot points or tent poles that we're going to determine first to help us build out our 7 to 9 tent poles. At the very beginning of the story, the inciting incident, Violet's mother decides that Violet will not be a scribe, but a writer instead, even though she's trained her whole life to be a scribe and she is physically not up to the task of being a writer. At the midpoint, Violet bonds with 2 dragons and the love interest Xaden, forever changing her trajectory and the trajectory of the whole story. See how it's a lot like a second inciting incident? Finally, at the end, Violet becomes one of the best dragon riders at Bascaith War College, completing her arc. Now, you can easily see how we're going to fill out the holes that we have in our story with a few more tent poles. These 7 to 9 tent poles are going to give you enough of a structure that you can write forward without bogging you down, spending a lot of time and energy on a lengthy outline to start. Again, I'm with you. I don't want you spending a lot of time on an outline. We can do that later. We can have a scene by scene outline later in the writing process when it's actually going to be beneficial for us. For now, we want to let those creativity juices flow. You are ready to write forward at this point. If you still feel a little bit stuck, let me break it down for you one more time. Chapter 1 is going to be a day in the life of your main character. If you follow writing advice for any amount of time, you've probably heard that your main character's life should be in shambles when you open the story. Everything should be going wrong. We need something to fix over the course of the story, okay? So a day in the life of your main character, what's going wrong with them now. Chapter 2 is going to have your inciting incident. It can absolutely be in chapter 1 if you prefer, but for the reasons of this video, let's say that's your chapter 2 or your scene 2, the inciting incident, and then chapter 3 or scene 3 is going to be what happens because of the inciting incident. So that's going to get you through your first 3 chapters. If you're still stuck, absolutely reach out to me. We can have a quick discovery call where I can help you regain your lost perspective and get you back on the right track. Or you might decide you want to sign up for coaching. Until then, happy writing.